We will now begin the regular meeting of the February 6th Kenner City Council meeting. Please stand for the invocation.
Let us bow our heads and remember we're in the presence of the Lord. Heavenly Father, as we gather here before you, we ask you to please guide our hearts and our minds and all of the decisions that we'll make this evening. We know that the actions that we take impact some families, and please give us the wisdom to do what's right. We want to pray for the youth of our city, that you continue to guide them down a path to be citizens that contribute and to be young adults who make a difference in the world. And we want to pray for some of the members of our Kenner family who we've lost recently, our fire department who lost Bobby Frame, and our retired fireman George Schilling who succumbed to death in a fire. And I want to pray for my cousin Sandra Driscoll, a longtime Kenner resident who passed away last week. For these blessings and all things, we ask your grace and your mercy. Amen.
We're very honored to have tonight Troop 221 Boy Scouts to come and lead us in the pledge. Would you please come forward? And the members of the troop, would you please come on the podium here so we can take a picture with you? Or Mayor, would you rather us come down there? As in boots, Scoot. That's what he said. Move together. Michelle doesn't. Thank you.
Scoot the chairs over and let the guys stand behind you. Too many people push over and let the white fan.
Y'all kind of give it to those ones that are kind of like me, a little bit shorter than everybody.
Sit on your coat.
The other rain.
Y'all don't have to.
Michelle, the other young man.
Good?
Right here? Yeah. Okay. Come right here. There you go. Maria, move your jacket. Oh. One behind your chair. Take your jacket off. Janie, you too. Just put it here. Yeah.
Get in your way.
I feel like I need a spoon with the same.
I just sat on my jacket.
Gregory, you in?
I guess I'm in. I won't know.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Look, bigger and better things from all of y'all. Bye. Good questions today, too, y'all. That second group started coming
If y'all
around.
think anything else, let us know.
Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, you have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B-14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Madam Chairman, I've received a request from the administration to suspend the rules to add item 3E to our agenda.
Okay,
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black, to suspend the council rules. All members, please vote.
What is 3E? We don't have it, huh? Do we have a
Are you
copy
going
of
to
that?
read it? You can
Yes, ma'am.
read it. She's going to read it.
I know, but
And now, Madam Chairman, to
Okay,
add it-
we have a motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black, to amend the agenda to include item 3E. Is there anyone in the audience who is, wants to object about us putting this on the agenda?
what is it?
I think you need to read
You want me
it.
to read it in now? Okay. Item 3 is application number 1795-14, Rivertown Merchants and Business Association to hold a public gathering for the purpose of a Valentine's Day marketplace for business sale on February 13th, 2014 and February 14th, 2014, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. at LaSalle's Landing in Kenner, Rivertown, Kenner, Louisiana.
Okay. Thank you. You want to read the consent, please?
Yes, ma'am. The consent agenda, item 1, approval of minutes of the regular council meeting of January 23rd, 2014. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverages permits applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 1782-13, Washington Montessori School to hold a public gathering for the purpose of a Mardi Gras parade on February 27th, 2014, from 1 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. at 606 Clay Street in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3B is application number 1791-13, Louisiana Council of Underwater Dive Clubs to hold a public gathering for the purpose of a party on February 8, 2014, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. at 4300 Lake Trail Drive, Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3C is application number 1793-14, Spacewalk Inflatables to hold a public gathering for the purpose of a community fun day on February 16, 2014, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Lake Town, Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3D is application number 1794-14, Metairie Humane to hold a public gathering for the purpose of a Spring Fling Pet Fest fundraiser on April 12, 2014, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Veterans Park, Kenner, Louisiana. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor and CAO or department heads. Item 4A, at the request of the administration, an update on capital sewage program and the status of the sewer compliance order.
Thank you.
Okay. As we all know, that we're currently in the midst of a very large capital sewer program, and we thought it'd be appropriate to bring you a status report. We have 3 different reports. The Phase 1 status report will be done by Rob DeLawn. Phase 2 will be done by Sid Truard, and then Veolia will do the 3rd. And we've also invited DEQ to come in and to witness the status report, and we'd appreciate if they'd give us some comments following the 3 very brief reports. So having said that, is Rob DeLawn.
Thanks for having me here this evening. Again, my name's Rob DeLawn. I'm with Digital Engineering, and we were the program managers for Phase 1 of the sewer capital improvement program. The projects that are going to be talked about tonight in both phases, they were specifically targeting the SSOs that were listed within the compliance order that the City of Kenner received from DEQ, as well as to upgrade the infrastructure that was 30-plus years old and under capacity and in need of upgrade. So I'm gonna get started. As far as Phase 1 is concerned, there were 3 funding sources. The first funding source was a LDEQ loan. There were 10 lift stations that were either newly constructed or rehabilitated under the LDEQ loan funding. Those lift stations include 39th in California, Vintage in Medoc, 33rd in Connecticut, 42nd in Erlanger, 35th in Ole Miss, 15th in Webster, Chateau Magdalene, 42nd in Illinois, Montrachet, and 33rd in Hans. Also funded under the LDEQ Phase 1 loan money was 7 new force mains. Those force mains were Montrachet, 27th in Salem, 39th in California, 42nd in Illinois, 42nd in Erlanger, 15th in Webster, and West Stanford and West Loyola. All of those projects are complete except for the West Stanford and West Loyola force main that's currently under construction and has about two more months to go before it's complete. Also funded under the LDEQ loan money for Phase 1 were 6 permanent generators, 3 of them at the wastewater treatment plant, 1 at West Loyola and West Stanford lift station, 1 at Kenner and Hanson lift station, and 1 at Vintage and Medoc lift station. Also, 15 portable generators were purchased that can be used throughout the city during power outages at various lift stations. LDEQ loan funding spent to date under Phase 1 is $14.3 million. The second funding source under Phase 1 was CDBG funds. There were 3 lift stations that were either rehabilitated or newly constructed. They include 24th in Delaware, 10th in Maria, and 27th in Salem. Also, 1 portable generator was also purchased with this CDBG money, and $3 million in CDBG funds were spent under Phase 1. There were also included 3 additional projects that city capital funds were utilized. 2 lift stations were constructed, Holly Heights and Saxony, and West Stanford and West Loyola lift station, and 1 new force main, which was the Holly Heights force main. And a total of $1.9 million in city capital funds were expended for Phase 1. So at this time, I'm going to turn over the presentation to the Phase 2 project manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. My name is Sid Truard. I work with GEC. We are the program manager for Phase 2 of the sewer program improvements. The first funding source that the City of Kenner acquired was another loan through the LDEQ. We have 13 projects that we are currently either in design, in construction, or have completed already. Of these 13 projects, there are 9 lift stations, 8 force mains, or several combinations thereof, plus improvements to the wastewater treatment plant and its effluent pump station. We also have a funding source from the CDBG block grants, which are improving 2 lift stations and another force main. And the third funding source is from a municipal bond that we passed, which is installing a large force main throughout the city. And that is a summary of our Phase 2 projects that are underway.
Thank you.
Hand it
very
over
much.
to Veolia.
Mr. Quigley, did you want to address the council? Veolia?
Hi, Joanne Massoni, wastewater director for Veolia Kenner Project. I'm going to talk about the benefits that we've experienced and that we've seen since the compliance projects, the wastewater capital improvement projects have started. And the first is a reduction in the rain-related service request. Also, in conjunction with the capital improvement projects, we started a sanitary sewer evaluation survey, which was an evaluation of the sewer system focusing on the lift station subbasins that had mainline blockages or capacity issue overflows due to the lift station and rain events. So the first one, the reduction in rain-related service request, in 2009, there was 254 related service requests, and now down to in 2013, we're down to 60. In 2011 and 2012, we had Tropical Storm Lee in 2011 and Hurricane Gustav in 2012, which added, those were non-routine rain events during those years. And in the next slide, you can see the decrease. And the second one is the public property defects. Once we started this SSES, this is helping us to locate the sources of public and private property inflow and infiltration into the collection system. And we started July 1st, 2010, excuse me, and it's still ongoing. We finished all of the smoke testing in November of 2013, and we're still doing the televising, manhole inspections, washing. And on the next slide, you can see that we're finding more defects, and as we're finding the public property defects, which would be breaks, blockages, obstructions, cross connections in the main line, service lines, force mains, and manholes, we're repairing them until we got to a point where the defects are getting further than we can fix at the time. We're repairing them under our contract and our contract depth. The ones that are outside of our contract are being turned over to the city so city contractors can repair. But these are helping the system. The private property defects that we see would be missing clean-out caps on a 6-inch clean-out or a 4-inch clean-out, or possible private sewer line breaks or breaks under the houses or in the houses in their system, and those are being turned over to code enforcement. So this has helped us tremendously with the citizens. Are more happy. We're getting less service requests, and being able to fix these repairs is helping the collection system also and reducing the number of overflows.
Thank you, Ms. Massoni. Well, as everybody knows, that this has been a problem that we've been having, and when we got the edict from the EPA, this is what you've been listening to in case you tuned in late or didn't catch the beginning. This is an update of the sewer capital sewer program and the status of the sewer compliance order.
Yeah.
We also have in our audience Deputy Secretary Dr. Alex
Appening.
That's how you spell it. And Assistant Secretary of Environmental Permits Sam Phillips, and Regional Manager Cheryl Nolan.
No, Ms. Nolan's not here, but actually the General Counsel for the LDEQ, Herman Robinson, is also here. We invited the DEQ to come in and listen to our presentations, and they graciously came in from Baton Rouge this afternoon, and we've asked them if they'd like to make any comments in regard to the progress that we've been making in regard to the capital sewer program.
And if they would like to, we welcome you to come before us, and thank you for traveling in this awful weather from Baton Rouge to come and see us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. And to the Honorable Mayor Mike Ianni, and to this distinguished council, good evening.
Good evening.
I certainly bring a good report with me today, and I'm very pleased to announce that on behalf of my colleagues at DEQ, with respect to the work that's been done on the sewer projects, we are very pleased and more than satisfied with the progress this municipality is making under the leadership of this mayor, this administration, and this council to get Kenner into environmental compliance. And that's something you should be very proud of.
We are.
And I'm an exceptional stickler for numbers. I heard your first consultant mention 14.3 million. I have it down to the penny. He was very accurate. You should be very proud of that audit. But more importantly, I recall when I sat down with your mayor, and he looked me in the face and said, Alex, one of the cornerstones of my administration is to make sure that we can make substantive improvements to Kenner's sewer system, because I believe we need to get us into compliance. And that was music to the ears of DEQ. We effectively worked together, made sure that 2 loans were available. And I have to say this, often a lot of mayors, and I get a chance to speak at LMA and other organizations, you hear mayors be a participant, but sometimes from a distance. They then hand off to their administrators, public works directors who work with us. But I can assure you that your mayor has been engaged with me every step of the way. And from DEQ's perspective, we are definitely very appreciative, because it allows that open lines of communication. When something needs to be adjusted, I get a call from my mayor. We work immediately hand and foot, strong working relationship, one that I believe that I have not seen prior to the 6 years that I've been with the department. And that is, again, a testament to your mayor and this council understanding that improvements in sewer infrastructure is not only good for the environment, but it's also good for economic development. You cannot have those expanded subdivisions. It's hard to retain your businesses, attract new businesses, if you don't have the right infrastructure. The vision has been demonstrated, and I promise you this, I will continue to work hand in hand with both your mayor and this council and this administration towards that lofty goal of getting Kenner into full compliance. I have with me Sam Phillips from our Assistant Secretary for the Office of Environmental Services, which is our permitting shop, and he wishes to make also a few statements.
Thank you, Dr. Rapini. I often have the misfortune of going behind Alex in my presentations. I'm not near as eloquent, but I can just affirm that we are very pleased with the progress you all are making, and it seems like we're making more progress each and every year, and so we're very proud of that.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
And you, Mr. Pena, you just echoed my sentiments when we talked about this at the last council meeting. For so many years, we've been talking about our sewer projects and the problems that we've had. I'm so excited that that I was a part of getting this project underway, and I appreciate the kind thoughts because I know that EPA likes us because we're doing what we're supposed to do, and you led us in the right direction. Mayor has. Administration has taken hold of the reins, and I think everybody in the city of Kenner owes you all a great debt of gratitude for allowing us to be able to go forward with these projects.
Well, we're proud to work with you.
Thank you so much. So with that, I think we have a motion to approve the consent agenda by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black. Please. Excuse me, I didn't see any lights go on, so is there anyone else that would like to speak? You're not on. I'll just give you the mic, Mr. I just gave you the mic.
Thank you, Madam President. No, we have gone under a tremendous amount of projects to this city not seen before. My question, I guess, would be more to the administration on one of the things we talked about that we had to have with the bonds that we went out for was a coverage ratio. And each year that was going to be, I think, 10%. Is that right, Duke? And every year that goes by, that's 10%, another 10% the next year, and another 10% the year after that. Where are we with the projects that have been paid for versus the amount of money that has been estimated in service fees for revenue? Where are we in relationship to expenditures? The revenues from the service fees in relationship to the expenditures?
Well, as you know, the increase in the service charge was done over a 4-year period. The last increase just went into effect this month, so it's phased in. So we're on target to to have the funding to get the projects done. As I mentioned on the first loan, we've spent a little over $14 million. We are in the process of spending the $16 million bond issue. And we're in the process of drawing down the second loan. It's going to take another few years to finish all those projects, because it's a lot of projects and they're complicated projects. But we're on target with our funding, and we're in good shape with it.
Are there any overages? I guess what I'm getting at, if you add up the 10% that you collect each year up and above what you say you needed, and you add those percentages together, midway through to beyond, you start to collect a heck of a lot of money up and above what you believe, or what all of us believe would be the operation and maintenance under the money that we're using. So at some point, I'd just ask you if you could give us some accounting as to where we are with the amount of money we're receiving in revenues from those service fees versus what we're spending on all the projects that we're doing.
I'll do that, and keep in mind, part of the service charge increase was to get to where we could, cover the operations, because before we weren't covering the operations.
Right.
And be able to cover the debt service on the projects. A good portion of the excess money in the first couple of years was intended to get caught up with the amount of money we owed Veolia. As you know, we owed Veolia money from them earlier years where we could not cover, the additional funds in the repairs and maintenance and that type of thing. So we've been using the money to get caught up with Veolia, and we're just about caught up with paying them. So from then on, we hope to have money for additional projects.
Okay, thank you. But you'll be able to get us some of those numbers, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Stagney. Councilman Denopoulos, you have the floor.
Thank you. And just to understand that when these millage rates go into effect, Duke, that all this money is absolutely dedicated 100% to sewage improvements.
That's correct.
Right. So, I mean, basically after we finished with the shortfalls that we had with Veolia over the, I guess those are the pass-through accounts are you talking about? The overages for the pass-through accounts once we get Veolia paid?
Yes.
Okay. Where are we? Where are we with the pass-through accounts right now with Veolia?
Well, the repairs and maintenance are still running a little bit higher than what we've budgeted. But, as these projects get done, we're anticipating that the amount of repairs are going to start going down. When you have an old-age system, it requires a lot of repairs. So, once all these lift stations and force mains and all are repaired or new ones are put in place, we are certainly expecting that our repairs are going to start going down in the next few years, which will help.
Right. Thank you.
So I wanted to mention it's the service charge that we increase. Not
Right, it's service charges that everybody is, we're in our fourth, like you said, our fourth year of increasing those service charges. And that basically, mostly that money should eventually go, hopefully, to capital projects, capital expenditures, and not just maintenance, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
A portion of it goes to the operations, so we can maintain the operations. And then, we need to debt service, the 2 loans and the bond issue. And then we should have additional money to take on additional projects.
Thank you, Duke, appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman DeFrancis, I'm sorry, you have the floor.
That's okay. Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to remind everyone that with the help of the administration, this council, we put an actual amendment in place that actually prohibits any money not being put into the enterprise fund. In other words, every penny collected must go into the enterprise fund for the sewage improvements in the city. And the good news about that is if for any reason we collect more money than we need, in any given year we can actually reduce the cost to the public, or we can keep it so that it doesn't extend for so many years that we have to keep paying those fees back. So again, there's a real benefit by the way that this council and this administration work together to make sure that every penny we could account for every penny, and that the public would know that every single dollar, every single penny would be used for the purpose intended. And I think that's important to tell them, that they have absolute confidence that that money will not be allowed to go into the general fund or anywhere else except for what it was intended. So again, thank you to the DEQ for working with us. We appreciate it so much. We are so proud to work with the administration to have this problem resolved once and for all for the people of this city.
Thank you, Ms. DeFrancis. Councilman Carroll, you had the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And Mr. McConnell, pretty much everyone had asked the question that I wanted to ask. I just want to add to what Councilman Denopoulos said about the outstanding monies for Veolia to pass through. Are we on schedule to, we haven't increased that dollar amount, and we are on schedule to pay that within our schedule that we anticipated?
Yeah, keep in mind, the repairs and maintenance are still running higher than the budget because we haven't finished doing all the repairs. So while we caught up on back money, we're still having overruns each year that we're having to cover. We currently have overruns in the current year that we're going to have to cover next year. So the overruns are getting lower, on the pass-throughs, but we're still having them each year until we finish getting all these repairs done.
So is there a relationship to the overruns and the repairs and everything getting done? Will that affect?
Well, yeah, once all these projects are done, obviously the amount of repairs that we're having to do on a regular basis should go down.
And maybe this question is for Mr. Gonzalez. So we anticipate that at some point we will not have these overruns.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. As the improvements take place and the system works more efficiently, those overruns will be reduced considerably.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Mr. Hardy and his colleagues also coming in, the attorneys who have helped us with this whole process. Thank you both for coming in from Baton Rouge again with sleet and ice, and so y'all be careful going back, and thank you for honoring us tonight by coming here today, along with all of the people who made their presentations tonight, and for the people from DEQ, so the individuals from DEQ. Thank you so much. And hearing no other discussion, we'd like to vote on the consent agenda. Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman Black. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. The public appearance agenda. Item 9 is public hearings for final passage. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bid. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 11,650, an ordinance correcting a typographical error in ordinance number 9808 adopted November 6, 2008.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilman Stagney. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council member. Item 13A is a resolution approving the appointment of Mr. Louis G. Gruntz, Jr. as interim city attorney for the city of Kenner.
Motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman Black. Yes.
Al Morello, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 42 years. I'm opposed to this resolution, and I'd like to explain why. I know the resolution states interim, but I believe that we have some fine attorneys in the city attorney's office, and I think it should have been offered to someone out of the city attorney's office rather than rush to bring in someone that has ties to this government back here through the former Broussard administration. So I'm opposed to it, and I urge the council to oppose it as well. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Okay. Hearing Councilman Stagney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sure Mr. Morello, Ms. Roussel is very happy with your statements. She would maybe be second in line. I'm just joking. To talk about Mr. Gruntz, I've looked over his resume. The administration provided it to all of us. Eminently qualified. The man has worked for, I think it was 7 parish presidents. Done a really good job. And I have no problem with the resolution confirming his appointment as the city attorney. I do have a problem with a salary that we budgeted and passed as part of our pay plan at $88,000, and the new salary is going to be $111,000, more than the $23,000 increase, and a 26% increase. And one of the things our charter has that other charters do not have is in section 2.13F, is any increase or decrease in the salary for a position that is called for in the charter, that should come before the council. I think that that's a check and balance on what you're paying someone. The mayor and I have some philosophical disagreements with that. He's the mayor and he hires, and he wants the luxury of hiring someone for what he's qualified for. But we're a budgetary body as well, legislative, and we oversee, and we budgeted a certain amount for that position. And not that this mayor would do it, But maybe some other mayor, what if they wanted to hire a city attorney and pay him $250,000? By not going and putting it before the council, the public is mostly unaware, and so is the legislative body that passes the budget. The only crack at looking at that salary would be at the next budget cycle, and then it's too late to even talk about it. So I'm going to vote for the resolution because the man is eminently qualified. I think he'll do a fine job. The only thing I would ask is, why are we confirming him as an interim city attorney? Would he want to be our permanent city attorney, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, he has his light on to speak after you finish.
Well, no, I was just going to ask him
Dagny.
permanent versus interim.
Well, Mr. Gruntz does not live in the city of Kenner. When Mr. Conley alerted us several months ago that he was going to be leaving, we started looking and talking to different people, just trying to find out what we can do. Now, in my current capacity in this term, I can only offer someone a job through June 30th of this year. You know, so that's an issue. We were fortunate to get Ms. Vallow, who decided this was a task she wanted to take and understood those parameters and said she's phasing out her law practice. If things don't work out for her and things happen, she'll look to go back to it. But, you know, there's a lot of attorneys that said, look, I know you're looking for more of a full-time attorney. I'm not ready to do that right now. Mr. Gruntz retired with over 30 years with Jefferson Parish. He may have, like you said, Joe, he served 7 parish presidents. He was hired by Hubert Vandenstein, who was the city attorney here and then later the parish attorney, who later became a judge. Mr. Vandenstein is very much alike Mr. Gruntz. They're both engineers and attorneys. And I've told him that if he'd like to move to the city of Kenner and I'm reelected as mayor, he'll certainly have that chance to serve as a full capacity as a city attorney. So that's up to him. But to get somebody to carry the ship, I wanted to do it. And to answer one of the comments from the audience, the city attorney's office is a finely tuned machine right now. Each attorney in that office, of which we have 4 of, all had their specific design tasks to do. And they're working very diligently and doing what the city needs to be done. We brought Mr. Gruntz in because we need another department head to run that firm. And that's basically what it is. It's an in-house firm, and he's going to come tackle that. He was a deputy parish attorney. The deputy parish attorney runs the parish attorney's office, basically. And it's a much larger parish attorney's office, but they do a lot of the day-to-day work. Mr. Gruntz is well prepared to hit the ground running to do that day-to-day work within us. As far as the salary goes, Joe, I respectfully disagree with you. I'm not an attorney, but in reading the charter, same section you denoted, section 2.13, section F, decreasing or increasing salaries or other compensation of any elected official or appointed city employee in a supervisory capacity provided for in this charter. Mr. Gruntz at this time is not a city employee. Y'all's ratification tonight will allow me to do a PA to make him a city employee. He is not getting a raise. He is coming into a new position at a salary we negotiated to hire him. The department is running within its budgeted amount of funding. The line item for the city attorney's office is budgeted for the city attorney is budgeted where Councilman Stagny said it is, but they're under budget at this time, and this will more than compensate for that. And because we're following the letter of the law, unlike this body has not done for some time, and I don't mean any disrespect to this body, because the courts said they could do it because it had been done through precedent. This is a resolution. A resolution has to lay over 17 days. We've always done these by resolution, not a motion from the floor. Mr. Gruntz will not start receiving a salary until February 23rd. However, his first day to start will be on February the 10th. So we're following the letter of the law to do that. He's going to work pro bono for us for those 17 days until he officially starts on that time. And the reason I say following the letter of the law, prior to this council even coming on board, when the council presidency was shifted through resolution, historically it had always been done at that same meeting. The letter of the law should be to lay over 17 days, but we're following the letter of the law in what we're doing right here. So, a judge ruled on that, and I understand that, but we're following the letter of the law. He's not starting in a paid capacity until February the 23rd. So I think it's admirable of him to say he's willing to do that pro bono, because Mr. Conley did say his last day had to be tomorrow.
And just to address the situation about the residency, I think all of us in here know a good real estate agent if you would like to move to Kenner. But again, on the part of the charter, we budget by position, not by person. And it's important that this body has some oversight on, if we pass a budget that a salary is at a certain level. I can remember several years ago that many employees were let go in a department in community services because we said their salaries were over the amount that was line item for them, and they didn't have enough money, and they were let go. Yet the way we pass a budget is by categories, and we really were under budget then. They didn't have to be let go. I don't know, the argument is switching now, but this is important, and by way of precedent and history, I commend you and former Mayor Ed Muniz, because you did put salaries before us, and that's what this calls for. And regardless of whether it's a new hire or not, you still have to maintain some kind of structure as far as salary, and it could lead to some abuses. Not that you would do that,
I agree with you.
but some mayor could come in and say, you know, this, I really like this attorney. I'm going to pay him $500,000, and we get no say-so in it. This part of the charter specifically addresses that. The city attorney's office is called for in the charter, 2.13F. It's an increase in the salary, called for a position in the charter. So that would be my only gripe. Again, I think Mr. Gruntz is eminently qualified. His resume proves that, and I will be voting for it. But again, I think it sends a really bad message that we're going to take a position that was budgeted, we're going to increase it by 23 or 26%, and all of the rest of the employees that work for the city day in and day out, they don't get that benefit. So that would be my only objection.
Well, then I can easily say then the charter should be changed because I'm following the letter of the law. It says employee. You keep using the word position. The word position is not in Section F. So, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And, you know, I'd like to, you know, welcome our new attorney. I too, had an opportunity to look at his resume. I think it speaks well of his years of experience working with not only as an attorney, but working with political administration that he's going to have to deal with us and with the state and the federal government, whomever. So I can appreciate him being here and having that experience. We can go back and forth about what we feel about the charter. And I think this is something that Councilman Stagney brought up that is important, that we need to ensure that we don't have the debacle that our neighbors to the north had when an employee was doing ridiculous things as it related to his salary. So it is important that we put that piece in place to ensure that, not implying that this administration would, but we have to ensure as a council that it doesn't happen. Also, last but not least, Mr. Morella, I appreciate you coming in today and having your concerns. But I think there are a lot of fine individuals that has worked for the parish for many, many years, friends of mine and people who are not my friends. But I think at some point we have to get away from trying to attach the negative things that have happened, unfortunately, to everyone that has worked there. We have to get past that. There are people who have worked, including him, that had nothing to do with the things that went on. So I think to continually to bring that up time after time again for individuals who not only will work for us, but may go on to work other places, especially some younger people, I think we have to get to a point where we no longer associate that. And I hope that we can do that. And we can appreciate individuals that worked that had nothing to do with it and appreciate them for their skill level and honesty and integrity and then their appreciation for working within city government. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Well, does anybody else have anything to say? Because I would like to close it by just making the statement that, Mr. Gruntz, the good news is everybody thinks that you're going to make a wonderful interim city attorney. The other news is that, we all want to look good in regards to salaries and stuff, even though we don't go ahead and dictate what the salaries are. But I want to tell you that I am very impressed with your resume also. I know that we go back a long way, and I think that you're going to be approved 7-0, no matter what everybody has said up here. So I could be wrong, just, but I have that feeling, you know? So, if there's no further statements, I'd like to call for a vote. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution temporarily suspending Council Rule Number 11 of the Rules of Organization, Business, Order, and Procedure of the Council of the City of Kenner and rescheduling the Kenner City Council agenda deadline to February 28, 2014 at noon for the council meeting of March 6, 2014.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman Black. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 11,651, an ordinance authorizing the utilization of state contract number 409716 to purchase various types of ammunition from Barney's Incorporated, Barney's Firearms, on an as-needed basis not to exceed $20,000 per year for the Kenner Police Department.
Motion by Councilwoman DeFrancis, second by Councilman Denopoulos. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 11,652, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of one 2014 Ford Taurus four-door sedan from Lamarck Ford utilizing Jefferson Parish contract number 55-00-13770 in the amount of $20,808 for the Kenner Police Department.
Motion by Councilman DeFrancis, second by Councilman Stagney. Light was on, Joe. Hearing no discussion, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 6-1. Councilman Denopoulos abstained.
To follow council rules, my abstention is because Lamarck Ford is a client of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to let the council know that whenever someone turns their light on, that means the first one to put it on is the one that has the motion and has the floor. So when y'all want to speak or second, make sure you put your lights on. Thank you.
Item 15C is summary ordinance number 11,653, an ordinance accepting response bid received from Bliss Products and Services Incorporated in the amount of $14,658 to furnish and install a modern shade playground cover at Woodlake Playground in accordance with seal bid number 13-6190 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Madam Chairman, I've received a request from Councilman Denopoulos to amend this piece of legislation.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Councilman Denopoulos, you have the floor.
Right. I think I have something I'm going to pass out to everybody here at the council. Basically, these are the canvas sails that you see that go over the bleachers at some of the parks that have been going up lately. And basically, we had a bid, a very, very good bid to do two of these what we call sail or wind bleachers, covers for the bleachers at Woodlake. And basically, I'm going to be purchasing 4 additional, 2 more sets, which will be 4 more units. And the account numbers are going to be from the Recreation Department. 1 set will come from the Recreation Department. It'll be capital account 3645000-5490-1320, which I'll hand to the clerk. And also the other 2 will be actually from the District 5 account, And that's actually contained in the legislation on the back side from account number 3641115-5005. These additional 4 tops will actually be placed at Wentwood Playground to finish out what we actually set out about mid-time last year to cover the bleachers that are there. So I would ask that my colleagues vote on this amendment. I will tell you that the vendor has already agreed to hold the price for those additional units at the same cost. So that's already been contacted. So just like my colleagues to approve this. Thank you.
Does any discussion on the amendment? Councilman Reno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Maricoli, this is the same company that did the ones at Gladys Playground?
No, actually, this is a separate company.
Okay, that's all. I just needed to know that. Thank you.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
are you going to go over the amendment one more time so that before we vote on it, please?
We'll be adding a fourth whereas to read. The city has identified an additional need for the equipment at other playground locations, and the bidder has agreed to provide the additional equipment at the same price as that contained in the reference bid. And we will also amend the following section number 2 to read that a contract between the City of Kenner and Bliss Products and Services Incorporated in the amount of $43,974 is hereby authorized.
Okay. Everybody has heard the amendment. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to amend.
Any further discussion on the actual legislation? Hearing none, please vote.
One moment, please. Okay, I'm sorry.
Please vote on as amendment ended.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 11,654, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from W.J. Blocher Company LLC for an annual contract to supply labor only for electrical work in accordance with seal bid number 13-6191 in the amount not to exceed $200,000 per year for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilman Reno. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 11,655, an ordinance ratifying an emergency repair of the Wood Lake Gymnasium heating system in the amount of $6,100 by Beacon Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Incorporated for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilman Carroll. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 11,656, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Direct Source Home Renovations LLC for an annual contract to furnish and install vinyl siding and related exterior improvements on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 13-6193 in an amount not to exceed $125,000 per year for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilwoman Brannigan, second by Councilman Stagney. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is a resolution accepting as complete the contract with Task Force LLC regarding repairs to Laketown Fishing Pier for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Reno, second by Councilwoman Black. Councilman Reyno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to let everybody know how nice this project came out on the fishing pier. And this past weekend, the CCA, along with Shell Oil and the Wildlife and Fisheries, we dedicated a artificial fishing reef that they're doing at no cost at all to the city. So this is just another enhancement to our Lake Town area and our fishing pier. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Councilman Reyno. Councilman Dinopoulos.
Hello. No. Thank you, Madam Chair. So nice of you. Once again, I can tell you, Keith, and to the administration, what a fantastic pier that's out there. And let me tell you, from a very avid fisherman, what I look at and what's going to be so nice about that pier is that the lighting system that lights up the water at night, obviously lights are attract bait and small fish, and then the big fish come after the small fish. Obviously, there's going to be some fantastic night fishing out there. The only thing that I know, I'd spoke to Councilman Reyno, and I think maybe possibly that we can kind of get, with that new reef that's going to be out there, maybe we can get a little bit of a no-wake zone out there, because I know a couple of times in the summertime you get the sea-doos and things like that that come up along the pier and kind of disturb the fishermen. Maybe we can get some sort of a no-wake zone in that little area right there. But because that reef, once again, is going to bring a lot of redfish, speckled trout, white trout to that area. I can't wait to fish out there at night. I really can't. That's going to be just fantastic for the springtime and the fall time fishing. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is the reef that will be, it's what we call the reef next to the fishing pier, and it'll allow the smaller fish to not be eaten by the bigger fish, for lack of better words, for more professional wording. But Councilman Reyno, you would like to close, I think. Councilwoman DeFrancis, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Many members of this council, along with the administration, went out again to really inaugurate the reef that's going to be out there. We got to throw rocks into the lake to indicate where it was going to go. It was a wonderful experience to be out there, to know what an important project this is for the many people of Kenner, recreational opportunities for our young and our old. And we have so many people who really do love to fish in this city, as Councilman Dinopoulos mentioned, and this is going to be an added attraction for so many. And it costs nothing to this city. That's phenomenal. When we can do something that positive for the people of Kenner and not have to worry about taking money from their pockets to do something this positive, I think it really sends the right message, what we can accomplish when we all work together. So again, congratulations to this administration and to our councilman from District 3 for these wonderful projects out there.
Thank you, Councilman DeFrancis. Councilman Reyno to close.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to mention CCA has done 13 of these projects around Louisiana, and 4 of them are in Lake Pontchartrain. So this is the 4th one in Lake Pontchartrain. When I first was elected, a resident that's in District 3, Mr. Bill Lejeune, who is the local chapter president of CCA, came to me and said, Keith, you know, we would like to work on putting one of these reefs, these artificial reefs, at Lake Town. I encouraged it back then, and he worked very hard to get this on the list to be done. And so I want to give a little kudos out to Mr. Bill Lejeune, the local CCA president, chapter president. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Reyno. Hearing no other discussion, please vote.
One more. Oh, there we go.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 1,000 DARE T-shirts at a cost of $6,625 from Creative Product Sourcing Incorporated, the sole source provider for the Kenner Police Department. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees.
Does anyone have anything on the special reports from the council and our special committees? Councilman Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. A couple of things to Mr. Maricoli in Recreation. We've had this conversation. The Woodward Gym, along with a couple of others, the exterior, horrible looking. Can you give me an update as to if we're going to go out to bid, when we're going to go out to bid? And there's other gyms. I noticed where my boy practices this year, where he practiced last year in another district, and I'll let him ask you on some other things, but there was some labeling the gym, the name of the gym, that's never been taken care of as well.
As far as the facades of the gym, one of the things that we've been looking at is possibly going to the stucco. But again, the problem comes into is the price. Whether we paint them or we do something else, it ranges around the same area, and we just don't have the funding to do that. And it's in the neighborhood of about $65,000 to $70,000, depending on the size of the gym. Obviously, you could see like Woodward, and some of them are smaller than some of the larger gyms that we have. So it would just be based on that amount of funding that we don't currently have right now. So that's the reason why.
So you don't have any funding allocated for
well, we have
painting of any of the gyms?
Not at this time, no. What we do basically is when we do our capital budget, we request, certain items, and we have different things that we're obligated to do. As we talked about last time, we used a lot of our capital money to do to purchase our bucket truck that should be coming in hopefully at the end of the month. So we've basically been focusing on some priorities that we've had. So that's the reason why we haven't been able to do anything with upgrade or to improve the facades on the gym. And as far as labeling, naming the gyms and doing that, that would be something we would just have to find. We'll get a price to get all that together.
Okay, thank you. Also, that's it for recreation. To some residents that I've talked to in the Morningside Park area, I've asked Public Works to go out and give me a list of damaged street panels, and that's the area basically between West Metairie and Airline Highway, Taylor, Hudson, Fairway, Webster, and then it starts to become some asphalt street. So, we're going to try to make a number of repairs in those areas over the next several months. If I can, I'd like to just take a few minutes. I mentioned Hudson Street. A dear friend and a friend to Kenner Fireman for many, many, many years passed away. We mentioned him during the prayer, Mr. Bobby Frame. I know we have our ex-fire chief, or if he was here, I don't know if he's still here. If somebody can go get him, he may want, I'd like him if he would say a few words about Mr. Bobby. What I remember is a man that was always jolly and somebody that always had a keen interest in the community. One of the things he was just so upset about, I remember one time, was the train not operating out in Veterans Park. And, he went to great lengths to try to convince everyone to get another train here because he knew what that did for the kids of our city, because that was the main attraction to that park. As a volunteer fireman, there are a whole host, many of us, we get calls when there's things in our district, and every time there was a fire that I was aware of and I went out there, Mr. Bobby was out there helping. His volunteer fire people were helping, and they did a service that I really thought was nice. When somebody in the community passed away, and it was usually Mr. Bobby, he would go to the service and present the spouse of the deceased a Bible and say a passage. And I thought that was just so very impressive that I hadn't seen that a lot with other groups. He did that on his own because I don't know that other volunteer fire members did that. He did it, and he did it many times because I saw him. He genuinely cared about our community, the people in our community, and he's going to be sorely missed. And my prayers, my family's prayers go to the Frame family. Very good man who will be dearly missed. Chief, would you like to come up and say something? Either Chief Zito or Chief Helmers. He gave a good portion of his life to firefighting. Former Chief Zito, come up and please say a few words about somebody that you served alongside of. And as a side note, we had another gentleman pass away, and ironically, they both worked in the city of Kenner, and they both worked for the same platoon at the same firehouse.
I'm going to let Chief Zito speak to both of the men, but George Schilling was actually on the same shift as Bobby, and Bobby was George's supervisor. They both died on the same day. And of course, George died very tragically in a house fire, but I'm going to let Chief Zito speak to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And just to let everybody know protocol, I made sure it was okay with Vicky in the frame, and I made sure it was okay with the chief that I spoke and instead of him, because he is the sitting chief. My name is Mike Zito. I'm the retired fire chief of the City of Kenner Fire Department. I will mention first, tragically, that George Schilling that was killed in a fire. Ironically, I think the day or the day before that Bobby Frame passed away. Ironically, what are the chances both of these guys served in the volunteers and in the City of Kenner Fire Department and retired from the fire department? But today, and right here, when I came on the fire department, and I started in the volunteers like most people do, Kenner Volunteer Fire Company in 1975, well, Bobby was already here. And when I went back on some old pictures in my scrapbook, I looked back and I saw the first groups of individuals that had Ralph Roddick, which, by the way, his wife's father was already on the department. And just to let you know, there was only like a handful, maybe 8 paid members back then. It started off as a fire department, then became a fire company when the Kenner Fire Department came into existence. Well, you're looking at the family between the Roddicks and the Frames who went through that whole line to now. And what I'd like to say about Bobby, and this goes for Vicky as well, because she's in the same household, and it's amazing that they had the same love and desire for this city. Because what I could say about Bobby is what I remember, and probably everybody, is number one, the orange jumpsuit that he always wore. Everybody shaking their head. Regardless, I don't care where, orange jumpsuit. He loved it. He thought it was comfortable. It's just what, first thing when you think of Bobby, see the orange jumpsuit. And of course, he had the smile. Now, Bobby was always one to be the forefront runner of, if there's something to do, he's going to be given the ideas. If no one gets up and does it, unfortunately, Vicky might have been part of that, but they both wound up doing it. And he did that on the paid department for the Kenner Fire Department as well as the volunteers. And what you need to know is you're talking about a family and you're talking about an individual who not only gave as his career and worked for a paycheck and for the citizens, but who served way before my time as a volunteer, was a paid member and a volunteer, and when he retired, stood a volunteer and was a lifelong member in the volunteers. And not just like me, which I'm a lifelong member, Bobby was active, and he was active all the way through. When I say active, I mean up front, training, what can we do? What can we do to be better? What can we do to get funds? What can we do to, if there was an event going on? And I know y'all smiling, I see that. And to the family, you need to know when you lose someone like that, they're not easy to replace because he did it, because it was in his heart. And in today's world, how often do you see people come out and do things because it's in their heart and not for money? Well, that was what Bobby was. He loved it. It was his life. And it ended up with his life. And it ain't going to end that way because it still carried on. And look, there's his entire family right there. Both sides. Both sides, which it runs deep. So with that said, my sincere condolences, but I needed the public to know, and you know, and to say a kind word for the type of individual Bobby was. And you need to know Bobby just didn't stop there. He worked with, I think, Angola Prison and started the first fire department within Angola for the warden there, and I don't remember the warden's name at the time, but anywhere there was something to do when they get started, he was the first one. Work, he didn't call it work. He was excited. It kept him going, and to miss a person like that and for what he gave to this city, the citizens need to know that they had an individual who, and there are, by the way, other individuals that do this both in the paid department and in the volunteers every day that you just don't hear about, that go on and on and on and on for them. And this is one of them, Bobby Frame. And again, you know, just a few incidents. He was the chief on them when the tank truck, Texaco tank truck was hit by a train, by Chuck and Bucks for the old timers in Kenner, you know, at the railroad at Williams and Kenner Avenue. You know, plane crash and many floods, the May 9th, I'm talking, just everything you could think of, he was there. And aside from fire, if there was anything you ever needed and you needed something done, you guys know if you spoke with Bobby, the word was never no. It was, what do you want? When can we get started? You know?
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
We appreciate you saying
Thank
those
you.
kind words. You know, I've known, this is a sad day for Kenner, for Mr. George, and for Bobby. I've known Bobby all my life. We went to grammar school and high school together, and he always had a smile on his face, and the last time I saw him was in this chambers, and he'd come up to me and he'd say, "Hey, Sandra Jean," one of the few people who would call me that. So I have some fond memories of my friendship with him, and so my condolences to the family, but he will be remembered. Thank you so much. Councilman Stagney, Councilman Carroll, wait, excuse me.
I have the floor. Am I?
Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And before I say what I want to say, I want to give my condolences to Mrs. Frame and for her husband, Bobby. You know, Kenner's a small town because his brother Billy lives in District 1. Also, I had the opportunity to meet Mr. and Mrs. Roddick, who also is related, and who also Mr. Roddick's father was the fire chief, so it goes to show you the community and the relationships that this particular department have given to the city of Kenner. So from myself and to all of the citizens of District 1, you give our condolences. Thank you for sharing your husbands with us to protect us in the city of Kenner, and it will be remembered forever. God bless you. And I would like to just talk a little bit about, we had the motion earlier about the upcoming Rivertown Valentine's Day Marketplace, which we're calling it. It's being sponsored by the Rivertown Merchant Association. Just a little bit more information about it. So we all know people have, on the 14th is Valentine's Day next Friday. We see people running around to get different things for our loved ones. So this is an opportunity in case you happen to slip a little bit, you can go right there and get it right there in Rivertown. So because somebody's going to forget, I promise you. But it is the Valentine's Day Market. It will be held from 2 to 7 p.m. on Thursday, the 13th, and from 11 to 7 on Friday, the 14th, at LaSalle Landing. A number of the vendors that will be there will be Labellas with wine and baskets, Piece of Art, hand-painted cards and small painting, Sweet Simplicity with jewelry, flowers, and gifts, Cakes and Creation, Gendusa's Bakery, which is new to the Rivertown area. Also, Theater 13, the Castle, to most of us, will be there. So this is an opportunity, again, to show appreciation for the businesses that have taken it upon themselves to be part of Rivertown. Please come out and show your appreciation. They will be there. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. And come out and, share something with your sweetheart in Rivertown on the 14th. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Councilman Brannigan, you have the floor. Oh, excuse me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Vicki, my condolences to your entire family. You know, we felt like we just started praying for him. So for us, it went very quick. I'm sure, you know, y'all felt it every day. So I was very surprised because we had just recently started praying for him. So I'm so sorry that that he's gone. But you know, in today's world, a lot of times, maybe I'm just can only speak for myself. When you hear of something tragic happening or a death, I go to Facebook and I look, and that is really where you can get to know somebody in ways that you would not have had in your lifetime. While we knew Bobby, I knew Bobby as who he was to our city. Apparently, I learned that he liked Bacardi and Coke because somebody was having one in his honor, and how many people just looked up to him. So that is a true testament to what kind of man he was. And I know that will be important for you to go back and read those remarks as well. And for those who are not aware, his services are Friday night on the 7th from 6 to 9, and then a service on Saturday. I guess visitation's 9 to noon, and then the service, the funeral is at noon at Richardson's Funeral Home. So anyone who wanted to join the family, certainly with a warm hug would mean a whole lot, or just your presence. So I will continue. I was looking for the picture of him in his orange jumpsuit, but I didn't see it. So I didn't remember the orange jumpsuit, but I'm going to study it some more and find it. But honestly, I just please know that we are lifting you in prayer. I hope that helps, and if there's anything else that we can do, you're part of our family, so please ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeFrancis, you have the floor.
Thank you. To Vicki and the entire Frame family, I hope you know you're in my prayers, and anything you need, absolutely, please never hesitate to ask. I know what it is to lose someone not so long ago, and a part of your heart goes with them. But as I told you before, I know they're looking down on us, and that we always have someone that will be there for us. They never go away. They're always in our heart, and they'll always be part of our family no matter what. And so that's the one thing that keeps us going, and I believe that in my heart. And when it comes to the orange jumpsuit, it was a uniform. Let me say, I had taken my mother to the doctor, and out of the corner of my eye saw this orange jumpsuit and didn't realize, of course, that they had the same doctor. And my eyes gravitated toward that color, and all of a sudden, there he was sitting there. So no matter where he went, it did become a uniform for him. But you know, one of the things I remember the most is I got to know him truly through the volunteer fire department. And it was so obvious what a heart he had, what a big heart. He loved the fire department. His heart was there with them, but it was also with not just the department, but with the people that made up the department, the people of Kenner. And he welcomed me into that group and made me feel comfortable coming, and always made sure that I knew when you all had a function and wanted us to be there to be part of that function, and opened up his arms and his heart to us. And that meant everything. It showed the kind of person he was, what a big heart he had. And I know that you, most of all, the entire family knows that. I'm not telling you something you don't know. So again, the memories we have of him and what he's done for this city will never go away. And again, it is that person up there looking down on us that is saying right now, don't cry for me, because I'm going to be there for all of you always. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman DeFrancis. Councilman Carroll. Oh, excuse me, Councilman Denopoulos, you have the floor.
There was one thing I wanted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the Schilling family, much love and prayers for the loss of once again, another gem, here in the city, because it takes a lot of people to do the things that they do in this city, and the volunteering that they do, as well as the firefighting and the first responding that they do, and the sacrifices they do, because a lot of times they're spent a lot of times away from their family. And to the Frame family, I met Bobby several years ago. He called me up and said, look, you need to join, and he would always call me every year to make sure I sent my $40 check in to the Kenner volunteer. I mean, he would, and I want to tell you it was so special to him because I do a fundraiser I do a charity event every year. It's called Caroling in the Park, and the volunteer fire department through Bobby, I'd call him and I'd say, Bobby, I need the fire truck to bring Santa and Mrs. Claus into the park, and every year that truck was bringing Santa Claus in the park. But this past year, when I called Bobby, he said, Kent, I have a problem. The engine's bad in the truck, okay? And I said, oh, gee, Bobby, well, you know, at that point in time, I was able to get some other arrangement there for almost 9 years straight. The Kenner Volunteers and that fire truck would bring Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus to the event where we gave away a lot of presents to the kids. And I'm going to tell you that, you know, I'd see him every year at the crawfish boil, you know, and of course he was always pulling the tickets and giving away the door prizes, and you know, what a gentle man and what a kind individual, and my life has been enriched and enhanced, you know, since I've known him. And I don't know if the fire engine is still out of order. It's up running? Great. I mean, I know that's something he was very proud of, because it brings a lot of joy. That truck brings a lot of joy to kids. And I know in my event, it definitely brought a lot of joy to the kids in the event. And actually, Tuesday night, I was the guest speaker at the Republican Women's meeting, and I saw Billy and Penny Frame there that night. And the first thing that Penny told me, she said, by the way, I want to let you know Bobby's ill. He's not doing very well. And it wasn't even 5 minutes later, they received a phone call. And I just saw Billy just bawling his eyes out. And it was a much somber moment at that night, Tuesday night. So my prayers and my thoughts go out to you, but my memories of Bobby are going to be there, because he just, I've had a lot of good times with Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Denopoulos. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say one thing real quick, and to thank, last week we had the terrible weather a couple of days. People were asked to stay indoors. For the first time since I've been on, well, not the first time, but one of the few times, actually I've gotten calls to the office to commend the services that the Public Works, the electricians, all the city employees gave for those 2 days, that gave a level of comfort to the people who live in the city of Kenner. So, you know, thank you guys for all your support. Things went on without a hitch. To be out there in the elements, it was terrible under those conditions, but you know, you were there, you did a good job. And I want to say that the people who live in the city of Kenner really appreciated that, to see the visibility of everybody riding around in trucks with dirt, electrician, with lights, everyone. So on behalf of that, thank you guys very much for your support. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Councilman Reyno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the families, the Frame and Schilling families, you know, our thoughts and prayers are with y'all. And, you know, I didn't know Bobby as well as everybody else on this council, but I can tell you, always smiling, and he's going to be missed. On another note, I just wanted to remind everybody that the Driftwood Parade is February 15th. It's the 45th annual Driftwood Parade, and my wife would kill me if I didn't say something nice about it. So hope the weather's great, and I hope everybody would come out. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, I was going to, you took the words out of my mouth, because we won't be having another council meeting before then. But Kenner's only parade is the Driftwood 45th Mardi Gras Parade. And it starts at 1 o'clock. I checked the weather today, my 10-day forecast, a 2-week forecast, and it said that it was going to be in the 60s. So I'm holding the weathermen to that. So everybody come out. It's a great parade for the children, because it's a children's parade in itself, with their parents that combine to build their own floats. So it's an opportunity for them to catch a lot of beads and have a good time. And that is Saturday, the 15th of February, day after Valentine's Day. And it's at 1 o'clock. So look forward to seeing all of you. Okay, Council Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Item 18 is new business.
We have none.
Item 19 is unfinished business and/or motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position.
We have none.
Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
We have none. Oh, excuse me, we certainly do. Mr. Al Morello, would you please come forward?
That's what happens, Jeannie, when you get on in age. I understand.
You know,
Al
age is
Morello,
like mind over
4260.
matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter.
Al Morello, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 42 years. I got some comments relative to no bid contract process in the city of Kenner. I believe that it's everything that Fox 8 and their partners at NOAA.com described in the series Louisiana Purchased. I want to say this to you, Councilwoman DeFrances. I will debate this issue with you as long as you desire to do so. The fact of the matter is, 3 contracts was awarded by this council to 3 firms totaling $3 million, close to $3 million, on the recommendation of Jose Gonzalez here, so you say, who I believe is the point man, the go-to guy in this whole thing. Okay? Now, I want to direct this to you, Councilman Stagney. It's true, campaign contributions are legal, but they're certainly influential when it comes to no-bid contracts. Number 2, Councilman Stagney, you did vote against the Linfield, Hunter, and Junis contract. I believe the only reason you did vote against that contract is because you couldn't get your way on your amendment and your deferral, because 2 weeks before the December 19th meeting, you was on board with it. And 3, Councilman Stagney, it doesn't matter when you took the $2,500 campaign contribution from that firm. Fact of the matter is, you were the beneficiary of a $2,500 campaign contribution. Now, to you, Councilman Carroll, 13A, your comments are well taken, but you can call it what you want. You can call it negativity. You can call it whatever you want. This is some facts that I believe that the public was entitled to know. Anybody got any comments, any questions? First of all, Jeannie, before I close it out, how much time do I have left?
You have 1 minute and 2 seconds.
In case somebody's got some comments for me, you can freeze my time, so I got some time to respond back to them.
We'll wait until you use up all your time, and then we'll let them respond if they have any response.
Well, I know at the last meeting, when I asked if anybody had any comments and any questions, nobody answered. When I left the podium and went and took my seat, because they all know I can't come back up here once I leave, that's why I'm asking you that now. I know one time Councilwoman Brannigan here froze my time. Now, I know you got the seat now, so you're not out for nothing like that. Am I correct?
Well,
on
I'm
that?
just trying to follow the rules of the council.
Well, she froze my time for me one time, and I appreciate that, Michelle Brannigan. Now, what about you, Jeannie? No? If no, I'll just use the rest of my time and go sit down.
You don't think I'm going to let Michelle Brannigan show me up, do you? Of course. You got...
Freeze the
now have
time.
48 seconds.
Anybody got any comments, any questions?
Okay.
Nobody?
I guess not.
Well,
Oh, do you have some? Yep. Excuse me.
nobody?
Hold up a second. We trying to get...
Okay, that's it.
You know, when you get up in
Oh.
age, it's hard to stop to work all of these things. You know, isn't that what you told me? Okay, Mr. Francis, you have the floor.
I can't press my mic. Do I have it on? Okay. Mr. Al Morello, if they change the law, I will be happy to follow the law and put it out to bid. But until they remove those two laws that I spoke to you about, I'm not about to break the law. But if they change them, you're more than I will be happy to let them go out to bid. That's number one. But number two, let me just remind you that the very contract of the firm that you mentioned was not first in my district. It was actually in District 2, and it was brought to the city from a project in District 2. And did such a great job, then Mr. Ziwi came up and complimented the firm as being a very reputable firm. So again, a reputable firm following the law, I certainly don't want to debate the issue, absolutely not. But if you don't believe that it's wrong and we shouldn't do it, then let's change the law. And when the law is changed, then I'll follow the law. And that's all I'm going to say on the issue, because I don't think it's proper to debate something which I have no control over. I didn't pass the Brooks Law. I didn't pass the Hammett Act. Those have been in place for a long time and for safety reasons. But I did mention to you at the last meeting that after those three firms are selected as the first, second, and third from a criteria other than monetary considerations, then you negotiate on the monetary end. And if you can't come to a resolution, not meaning this council, but the administration, if they want too much money and you feel that it's not appropriate, they can go to the second or the third firm and negotiate, and then present it to us. And again, having done due diligence, making sure the firm is a reputable firm, can do the job, and that the monetary considerations are within certain parameters, then this council does have an up and down vote. We do have to follow the law. We do have to do due diligence. But the bottom line is you can't debate something we can't change unless, again, it's voted upon by the public, both on the federal and state level.
Now,
Two things, Councilwoman.
Want to use your 48 seconds now? Or
Yes,
you wanna
ma'am. I want to get into them now.
Okay.
Two things for you, Councilwoman DeFrancis.
Sir.
Number one, no one's asking you to violate the law. That never came up nowhere during the conversation. Wait a minute, I got the floor right now.
Absolutely.
You done said your piece. I'm talking now.
I apologize.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jose Gonzalez, which he couldn't answer. They had 13 other firms trying to get that contract. Now, my question to you is simply this here, Councilwoman DeFrancis. If one of these firms had better qualifications than any of the rest of them, but they didn't make any campaign contributions to no one on this council, what kind of consideration would you have given to a firm like
Your
that?
time has expired, Mr. Morello. Thank you.
Do I get to say something or not?
Do you want to respond?
Just very quickly.
But your
Mr.
time has expired, Mr. Morello.
Mr. Morello, let me just say this, and I apologize. All I was saying was I wanted you to know I did not accuse you of saying that you asked me to break the law, because you didn't, and you never have. But I simply want to tell you that a lot of other firms have done work in District 4. That is the first time that firm has gotten a contract to do that work in District 4. And let me tell you, if you know me at all, you know that monetary consideration is not my primary. I don't care if they never gave me a contribution. There are a lot of people I've dealt with that have never given me a penny. And you know the first 2 times I ran, I never accepted a penny from anybody. That has never been something that I choose to use in deciding whether someone's competent or not, or whether they should get a job or not. And I will never, never lower myself to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
Oh,
Councilman, Mr. Jose Gonzalez, you had the floor. One moment. There you go.
I'm on.
Yes.
Just for clarification purposes, because my name has come up a couple of times already from the same individual, okay? When the administration asks me to review and evaluate statements of qualifications, I do so. Okay, and I do so after reviewing the contents of a statements of qualifications, and with my knowledge of the firm and my knowledge of the individuals that work for the firm, I would grade those statements of qualifications accordingly. Not once, okay, do I evaluate a firm based on campaign contributions. I have no knowledge of what these firms contribute to anybody's campaigns. And even if I did, it wouldn't make a difference to me. So I just want to make the record straight. When I do recommend a firm, I recommend based on qualifications. I would recommend based on what I know of the firms, and I recommend based on what that firm can produce. And I do recommend qualified firms. They may not be rated number 1, okay? but I may have knowledge of those firms. Sometimes I'll venture into a firm that may not be number one, but that would be my recommendation. And it's not based on campaign contributions, and I just want to set the record straight.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Councilman Stagney. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to reinforce something. Al finally got one thing right. I did vote against the firm because I couldn't get the amendments on or get the language in the contract. Those amendments were to ensure that the city of Kenner was inspecting the things that were done by people who are certified to do the inspections. Also, there was language in there to lock down any loophole by where a suspicious public would think that anybody in the administration or anybody up here and family members of ours would benefit in any single way from a vote we made today, even though they may benefit 3, 4, 5 years later. That wasn't acceptable to people. So yes, I voted against it for those reasons. They gave me a campaign contribution in 2009. It didn't influence me to vote for it. I voted against it. The general public wants more openness and transparency, and they want things done. We had an issue with the city several years ago where things weren't inspected, and it came back to bite us a little bit. So I tried to introduce those things. So yes, I voted against it because my amendments were not put on here, nor would they be acceptable in the contract. So you were right about that. But to say that it influenced me somehow and just because I didn't get my way, I mean, I take it kind of serious what we do up here. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Stagney. And Mr. Morello, you know, you and I are going back so far. And when you get personal against me, then I get angry. So when we finish this meeting, I'm going to give you this little piece of paper right here, and I want you to write all of the good things you have to say about this council on this little piece of paper that I'm holding between my two fingers, okay? Thank you. Mr. Jack Ziwi, you have the floor. Oh, come on. Join in. It's lively. But do you want this little piece of paper also?
Smaller piece. My name is Jack Ziwi, 3221 Illinois Avenue in Kenner. It's really tough to follow Al Morello. Arguing with Al is like a pig in slop. After a while, you're fighting with a pig in slop. After a while, you realize he likes it.
Of course.
Anyway.
He likes to wallow.
Madam Clerk, I was asked to issue some letters. Did you, Joe, did you give those to? Oh.
No.
There were some letters to the council. I have a letter to the council. That's okay.
Didn't get one.
I asked Joe to give it to Miss Natalie and whatever.
I thought you said that.
That's okay. On January 9th, I addressed the City Council on a matter of public concern, access to public records. I was not requesting at any time that this council micromanage anyone in the administration, but I was asking for help from this City Council. It is my opinion that when an elected public official becomes aware of a possible violation of law with the city they represent, that they should at least look into the matter. So, I have a simple question for the council. What has this council done as a governing authority to ensure that an open, honest, and transparent form of government in Kenner as it relates to the following public concerns? Full access to all public records. Full compliance with the law as it may relate to Louisiana Board of Ethics. Any action taken by this council to correct a present hostile work environment that exists in the Kenner city government. Repayment of the money due the taxpayers of Kenner by Chief Helmers. Collection of money due the taxpayers of Kenner from the Kenner Convention and Visitors Bureau as recommended in a Louisiana legislative audit dated April of 2012. And the last one, collection of money due the taxpayers of Kenner Housing Authority and the alleged improper payments to recipients of the Section 8 Housing Voucher Program. Public records confirm that a member of this City Council is an active participant in the Kenner Housing Authority Section 8 Voucher Program. I look forward to the response from this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ziwi.
Let me just.
Councilman Stagney, do you wish the floor?
Just, thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, Mr. Ziwi, I had missed a meeting, I guess it was 2 meetings ago. You had called me right before that time, asking me about some records, public records, and as I recall, the next meeting that I attended, I did, Ms. Roussel, and you can confirm this. Ms. Roussel, you can confirm this. I believe that was last meeting, wasn't it? That I had asked you that he made a public records request.
That's right.
Or requests, and what were you guys doing,
And since that time, he's received, as far as I know, a letter by email from Francine Weaker in our office.
The city attorney's office in the last 2 weeks has done an incredible job of responding. It's like somebody just turned over a new leaf or something. Something's happened. But all of my requests are fulfilled as of today.
Good.
My concern is after the election, we don't go back to the old system. That's my concern.
Well, I did follow up based on that phone call you made to me with Ms. Roussel, and she looked into it and
got records within 2 days. I think that's pretty incredible.
Okay, thank you.
That part is being taken care of as of now.
Thank you. Mr. Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Ziwi, I just want to say that this is, I just got this in my hand 5 minutes ago. Some of this is I think, very simple to answer or that I haven't had any knowledge of. But there are a few things I will personally address with you about some of your concerns as it relates to some of your questions on here. If you can afford me the opportunity to suck some of this in and then get back with you within a couple of days. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion or having no one else that wishes to address the council, I call this meeting adjourned.